My friend Suzanne Blons is a former model and Revlon Charlie girl turned makeup artist, doing the makeup for celebrities such as Hillary Clinton, Colin Powell, Larry King, Peyton Manning, and more. And now she has recently made a pivot into something new, starting her own YouTube channel as a brand ambassador and influencer, helping women over 50 look and feel their best with the Beauty Shaman. Let's tune in to today's episode and find out some of the challenges and fears she had along the way. And yes, we also dive into how she just moved to Ecuador amidst all this change. It's a great interview. Tune in. Hello, dreamers. Welcome to the Late Starters Club, giving you the inspiration, mindset, and tools you need to start something midlife and beyond. Remember, it's never too late to follow your dreams. Hi, everyone. It's Andrea Val, your host of the Late Starters Club, and I am here with a good friend of mine, Suzanne Blons, who has an amazing story to share. She is known as the Beauty Shaman, but has had such an amazing life journey. I knew I had to get her on the show, so happy and excited to have you on, Suzanne.
Thank you, Andrea. So great to see you. I've missed you so much. And this
I
is just
know.
like a shot in the arm to be
I
here with you.
know.
Yeah.
I know. There are so many different things to talk about, but let's just let's just talk about your bio here in a nutshell. So Suzanne is a beauty shaman. She's a former Revlon Charlie girl, licensed esthetician. Am I saying
Es-
that right? No.
Esthetician. It's okay. It's
Esthetician.
a hard word. It's
Esthetician.
a hard
I know,
word.
right? Celebrity makeup artist. She's done the makeup for a huge host of amazing people, and including myself.
Yes, she's most amazing. The most amazing.
Now she is an online beauty educator, content creator who lives and operates out of Ecuador. So there is just so much to unpack in this amazing story. I don't even know where to start. So why don't we just start with how you kind of just give us a little backstory of your journey from model as, young girl modeling, traveling the world, living overseas, and how that evolved for you and where you're at right now.
Into Ecuador. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was a professional model for about, oh my God, I don't know, maybe 4 years. I worked for the Elite New York. So I lived in New York and then in Paris and then um I don't know where else, London and Italy, and I traveled all over Europe. And I was really young. I started when I was 16. And by the time I was like 19, 20, I was really burnt out and I was starving myself as models do, and just really hit a wall. And it was really more of a wall of identity. Like, what the heck am I doing? This isn't me. And I would go to jobs and, this was the 80s. So they were very, very critical and hard on women. Well, they're still critical and hard on women, but they're less
Right.
overt about it. But this was the 80s. So it's like, oh, your hips are too big. Okay, then I'd starve myself more. And, like whatever it was, too flat
Mhm.
chested, too, your teeth aren't straight, like it was. And I think I'm not a thick skinned person. I'm very thin skinned. And it was just super hard for such a young girl to have that. And I think I just thought, I'm done. I want to do something else. I mean, I was traveling around the world. I was making lots of money. I had a contract with Revlon, like by all purposes, it was like, wow, you're like living it. You're living the dream. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just hit
Mhm.
that wall. And I always think when those kind of endings show up for us, that it's really important to stop and say, I need to like look at this. But I was so young, I didn't even know it was an ending, right? I was just like,
Right.
I got to get out of this shit. Like, it's
Yep.
bad. So I moved to London and I went back to school and got a degree in literature,
Mhm.
and decided to move, eventually I moved back to the United States. And really, one of the things I loved about being a model, the only thing I really loved about being a model, I didn't really love it at all. But one of the main things was the people. You got to meet some really crazy, cool people. But then the second thing was I loved the collaborative atmosphere. So
Mhm.
I decided, oh, I'm going to be a makeup artist. Like, that's makes sense, right? Because I've been
Mhm.
in front of the camera, I'll be behind the camera.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
worked for MAC Cosmetics and then trained with the head makeup artist at CNN out of Washington, D.C., and ended up going behind the camera at CNN and Fox and MSNBC, and just like loved it. It was I love live
Mhm.
television. I still love live television. I love working with talent. So I did that for, oh gosh, I started that in my early 30s and I went until, until this move to Ecuador. I worked with talent for as a professional makeup artist.
Mhm.
So kind of how I got to Ecuador from A to B was while I was in Boulder, where we know each other.
Yes.
I have 2 daughters. I have now 22. Rachel's 22.
Oh my gosh.
So insane. And then Riley, my youngest daughter, she's now almost 20. She'll be 20 in like a month.
Mhm.
And she lives in London studying fashion marketing. Rachel's still in Denver studying biology.
Mhm.
So anyway, I had these 2 kids and I thought, okay, they're going to leave home soon. Like this was about 5 years out. And I thought, so, and you're almost an empty nester, Andrea, so you understand this.
Yeah.
But I thought, what am I going to do with myself? Like, I don't want to keep doing makeup. Like I want to do something else. And I loved living abroad. I loved the
Mhm.
international experience. I lived abroad for a total of 15 years
Mm,
in my
mhm.
life before now. And I just loved it. And I love
Yeah.
languages and I love the challenge of it. And I love like being the weird, I'm very much an outsider. So I love that
Mm.
experience of, wow, I'm like totally I am not, here like a Latino. I'm like 10 feet tall. I'm not 10 feet tall, but I'm way taller than like
Yeah.
99% of the people in the country. And so, I thought, where can I go? What can I do? And how can I get there? And so that's the why of starting the online business. And so I started an e-commerce store
Mhm.
and started doing some coaching and started doing a YouTube channel and
Right.
affiliates and like kind of started that process. And,
Yeah.
was really coming from an extremely clueless I had no idea. I'm not really a business person. I mean, obviously now I am, like I'm learning
Yeah.
that, but I'm an artist, I'm a creative. And so
Mhm.
I think that process took a while, right?
Right.
Of learning the
Right.
ropes, like what does this look like?
Right.
And I still have a business coach. I'm still working at it, but I was able to build the business to the point that I did this move. And I did this move last year in August. I came
Uh-huh.
out here. So that's how I got here. And so
Yeah.
now I do some professional work, not a lot here. It's a completely different atmosphere and market
Right.
and totally. But I do it. Everything's online for me now. So it was a big,
Mhm.
talk about late starters, right? To
Yeah.
completely start a new business with 2 kids in college, like so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, you had to learn not only, like, technology and marketing and,
Yes.
just, like, a flow of everything, income,
Right.
and, like, all the back end stuff that are so challenging, and I think that is a challenging thing as a creative too,
Yes.
because you're used to, just creating, and now it's all about, like, YouTube views and, like, how do we go live on something and,
Yes, yes. It's
promote.
huge, and that's a huge issue. I mean, I know we'll get to it, but one of the big questions is what do you do with overwhelm? And I
Yeah,
think and burnout. And so,
yeah.
coming here, I don't want to jump ahead too much, but coming here
No.
I was so excited to come here and start over and learn Spanish. And, I'm one of these that jumps off the cliff and on the way down goes, wow, that was a big jump. Like, woo. Um, and so, like halfway down the cliff, I realized, wow, I am not used to sitting in front of a computer for 10
Mhm.
hours a day, 8 hours a
Right,
day. And,
right.
I would shoot content and then, I was using an editor. Then I started doing it myself. I mean, it's because of the income drop, right? I had 2
Right,
incomes, and so suddenly it
right,
was just the 1 income, so I had to
right.
really, maximize my profits
Yeah,
basically. But having said that, it was a big leap, and one of the struggles as a creative was I simply cannot be on the computer for 10 hours a day. I simply can't do it.
yeah,
So how do I manage this type of an issue? So,
yeah.
that's still a work in progress, is
Right,
navigating the waters of staring at a computer all day. So,
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah, so let's talk about one of the things we were talking about before we went live here was or went recorded here. The question about the finances and stuff like that. We have so much to get into,
I know,
but
I know.
but I
It's a
I
lot.
know. But there I mean, I think for you, that was a big reason for moving to Ecuador as well. It's a very affordable location. You
Right,
were talking about how much everything has been much more affordable. You can live on much less there, which is awesome and probably gives you a much better quality of life in some ways, although you've had
right,
to lean into maybe more of the computer work in a different way.
right.
But talk about like that decision and how that's impacted your business.
Right. So I think that is a huge issue is the financial and the budgeting part of it. And I think it was, I had sort of the benefit and detriment of COVID hitting. So COVID hit and I moved my kids, one was an adult, one was almost an adult. I moved them in with their dad,
Mhm.
which he loved. He was so happy about that. We're divorced and we get on fine. It's all good. So I moved them in and I moved in with a friend of mine who we both know.
Mhm.
And what that did for me was it was terrifying, right? All of that experience was terrifying at the time, but the benefit of that is once business picked back up, I had cut my expenses down to such a huge degree, living with Mandy, that I was able to start putting money away to a much greater degree than
Yep.
if I had stayed in the apartment because rents are like terrible now in Boulder. It's like
Mhm.
it's and then it was bad and now it's
Yep.
even worse. So it was very hard to put money away. I think many people really understand that. So I think part of, the how to financially budget this, I basically moved into my friend's basement, which
Right.
I don't recommend. Like, a little rough, but she's lovely and the place was nice and it was all good. But I think, I kind of just gutted it out basically
Right.
for almost 2 years.
Right.
To be able to sock money away. And if, at times I would get discouraged and think, okay, I'm 57 and at the time it was what 55, 56, and it's like I'm in a basement and I'm saving money to move overseas. Like,
Yeah.
am I snorting crack? Like, what are you doing? And the times where I had to sort of mentally check myself, like, is this really what you want? Like, what do you? And I had this vision in my head of, and this is the big why. I think that as older women, it's what do I really want?
What
Yeah,
do I
as
want?
women,
Yeah.
I think we get older and we feel like I need to be X and I need to provide. Especially I have children, I have to have a certain, income. And so we get kind of trapped into responsibilities. And
Mhm.
a lot of times it's great, like it's great hearted. I look at my own life and I think, as a single mother, I was a single mother for, they were like 5 and 7 or something when I became a single mother. And,
Mhm.
I did it, right? I did it. I had full custody. I absolutely did that. And I think, I got to the point where it's like, am I going to live my life to help my kids or am I going to live my life for what I really want to do? And as a mom, you sort of put what you really want to do in a box to a certain level, right? And you have to, and that's fine. That's wonderful. It's a gift of being a mother. But on the other hand, I hit the wall of, I want to do what I want to do. I'm burnt out. And so I think the financial aspect was, I think it was terrifying, like I'm really taking a leap. I hope I can, it
Yeah.
looked like on paper that my business
Mhm.
was making enough to support me out here. And I was
Yeah.
able to save, an amount that I felt good about. And that's
Right.
so individual. You can't
Mhm.
tell anybody how much that's going to be.
Right.
I saved X amount. And when I got here, I thought, I'm good. I'm totally good. But then the economy changes and we'll get to this, but I had my oh shit moment while I was here. So I think these kind of moves as you get as older women they're hard. They're hard.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah, it's such a you have to trust the universe that it's all gonna work out, and it's great that you had I mean, in a way, COVID was sort of a gift for you in
yes.
forcing you to change your business model and then see you could do it, sock some money away, and really kind of keep that why out in front of you, right? So
Right.
that's amazing. I love that. So and I wanna
Right.
before we get into some of the oh shit
Yeah.
moments, I wanna talk about your mission because that is something I love and I think that we're so aligned with, and I love your approach to helping women, older women, feel good about themselves and realize all the marketing messages that are out there that are kind of teaching us that wrinkles are bad and all that stuff.
Right.
So talk a little bit about your mission as a beauty shaman for older women.
Yes. Yeah, I really hate that messaging, and I think I grew to loathe it because I was working with some brilliant older women going on camera. I was the head makeup artist at Gaia TV for 10 years, and we'd have women come in that had written books that were, just doing incredible things in their life, going on camera, talking about healing or, whatever it was, a lot of spirituality, esoteric spirituality. I thought these people are incredible. And they would sit in my chair and just be terrified because of their age. Is this going to show? Is that going to show? Like they really, it would get so, and I would watch this and I thought, this is so unfair. This is so wrong. Because the men would come in with pot bellies, looking like crap and not care one bit, right?
Mhm.
And then be treated like kings, right? And the women, there would be behind the scenes comments. And I noticed this more when I worked in live television, like CNN and Fox. They would say, oh, she's fat, or she's got, no, she looks old. We can't use her. She's old. Like they would be
Mm.
blatant. And I
Mm.
was there standing there like, I'm standing right here. Like, do you realize? And you couldn't say anything then, right? And now, and when I was with Gaia, people were pretty good. Like they all understood, like that's just not appropriate. Although now and again, things would play out. So I'm coming from a place of I really, really, really hate that.
Mhm.
And I want to provide a different message of, you're just loving your body, owning, taking care of yourself, looking in the mirror, telling yourself positive things, and still learning the tricks of the trade. It's kind of like a dual thing where, and I think it's like this in business, like half of it is your mentality, is how you're operating and your confidence, your faith, your what you're believing and your messaging, that kind of thing. And then the other half is business sense. And that's how I feel about the beauty industry is, if you can look at it like, I want to take great care of myself. I want to think positively about myself. I'm going to own it, which people don't argue with a woman who owns it, right? It's when we have that insecurity, that sort of, oh, I look bad and oh, I'm not quite everything I need to be, right?
Mhm.
And honestly, even though I coach women on this, I still struggle with it. I'll look in the mirror and go, God, I think you've gained a couple pounds. And then I'll
Mhm.
stop myself and go, who cares? Like,
Mm.
really?
Yeah.
Right? It's hard.
Yeah.
So I think that's where that all stems from. And, I've grown to just love aging and love older women and love the power that they bring. And it's almost like taking that negativity that we're inundated with and putting it to
Mm.
the side and
Yep.
having that spark, right? And it's the
Yep.
spark, I think, that we can do anything. We can do it. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too because I think it's hard to quiet that voice in our mind that
Yes.
we get these marketing messages and some of the commercials just make me so mad
Oh,
like ooh I've got a freckle. Oh, that's disgusting. Let's cover that all up and it's just like why can't we just be beautiful in who we are and that and just not worry as much as what our skin is doing. And of course, you like it's this double-edged thing. You want to take care of yourself, but you also want to feel good from an
yes.
inner place. Inner
Right.
place.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, awesome. So yeah, and we'll have links to Suzanne's YouTube channel, all kinds of stuff. She gives great advice about just making you look as good as you w- want to
Choose.
look in the
Right.
choose to look in
Choose to
this.
look. Yeah.
Yes.
And I also
So
don't, I mean, this is kind of an important point. I can't believe I left this
mhm,
out, but I don't use any injectables or plastic surgery. And that's part of my platform is, this is a choice. If you want to do that, that's fine. I am actually, most of the talent I worked with, probably 95% did it. And that's
mm,
fine. But what I guess, along with my messaging is with loving who you are, is embracing aging. And I think for me, it felt like a double standard. Like I personally can't do that.
mhm,
But that doesn't mean somebody else can't. So I don't have judgment around it in that sense, but I would love to help change society to say it's a
right,
choice and you're beautiful no matter what, right? So
right,
that's part of my whole messaging. Yeah.
right, right. I love that. That's awesome. So let's talk about like, the fact that you moved internationally, you had some overwhelm with that, you had some oh shit moments and then some clarity and messages that really help. So tell us
Yeah.
about some of that.
So, I actually love it here. I loved it here the minute I got here. I didn't have transition as far as the place. This is the first third world I've ever lived in. I lived in Singapore for 5 years when I was married. And, that was at that point a second world. Now it's a first world. So,
Mhm.
but this is my first third world experience. I've been to third worlds. I've been to India, I've been Indonesia,
Mhm.
I've been around, but I've been around. I've been around. Um, but
You've been
like,
around.
I was wondering what would this be like, right? Because you do see poverty, you do see, a lot of helplessness and that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So, but I didn't have any transition with that. I was like totally fine with it. I think the transition, the oh shit moment for me was, getting here, and it actually went phenomenally well. I was, had sales and marketing, and like everything was really like going great. And then a mid-January hit, and everyone started talking about recession and the
Mm.
economy, and I noticed that my sales took a dip, even though I was doing the same things, right?
Mhm.
And it really, yeah, that was really tough. And I, then started working harder, which is such my reaction to life, right? Well, I'll just work harder, right?
Yeah.
I'm a doer, right? So I was like, well, I'll
Yeah.
do more, and I'll publish more, and okay, we'll do targeted keywords more, and like more.
Yeah.
And it wasn't having an impact. And I think it was probably early March, I did my budget and went, oh shit, like it's not working. And I don't know
Mm,
why it's not
mm,
working. And I can't,
mm,
what am I going to do? So I really, went through like a real, like, wow, did I make a mistake? Was this a bad
mm,
decision? Should I have kept my other business? And I didn't budget for this at all. And so, so my part of this, so my solution for the oh shit moment was, who do I need to talk to? Right. I'm sure you're probably like this. I'm a doer, right? So who can I get help from?
right.
And so I kind of went through all my people. I couldn't figure out who to talk to, to get help. And so I finally landed on a woman who I actually knew from Gaia TV. She had come on several times, and we have a mutual best friend. So we actually had become friends, but I had used
Uh-huh.
her services a few times, um, because she's an expert in dowsing or pendulum. So pendulum, for those of you who don't know, it's basically asking questions, and then the pendulum gives you percentages, or um, there's another word, not percentage, probabilities. So it gives you percentages or probabilities on this, that happening, or that being accurate, and you have to learn how to ask questions. It's all about what to ask, how to get the right answer. It does take some work, right, to figure this out. So I had hired her a few times to work with me on this because I just loved it. I thought it was such a great thing to use. And so I hired her to do a session with me. And I basically told her, look, I'm hitting burnout, and I'm hitting overwhelm, and I don't know which direction to go. Everything I'm doing isn't working. I don't feel like this is a business coach question. I feel like this is a me problem. Like I'm hitting, I've come to this place, and I got to get out of this place. I don't know how to. So
Mhm.
she did a whole session, and to make a very long story short, she came to the conclusion that I was blocking my own good and my own abundance through I have had an allergy to calm. And in Spanish, they call it tranquilo. And
Mm,
she said, because I grew up in my growing up period was very unstable. And
mm,
so I internalized this. I have to like stay, I'm the one that has to hold everything together. I'm living like a constant state of anxiety and preparedness, right? It's like, when's it all going to drop? And so,
mhm,
and I've never changed that. And I've known that, but it's like, how do you change this deeply rooted thing that is like almost like ingrained in your DNA, because it's been from childhood, and it was really affecting my life because it's like I couldn't snap myself out of it. Like I was having a hard time sleeping and eating, and like it really got to me. So anyway, she said, well, I'm gonna do a clearing on you. And I was like, brilliant, do a clearing. So she cleared me using the pendulum. And she would have to do this. I don't know how much you can clear yourself. Like that's beyond my skill set. So she cleared me, and I was like, great. And she said, just everything's going to turn around. Like, just, it's going to be fine. You just got to call, you got to like be okay with being calm. Right. So
mhm,
my sentence was, it is safe to be calm. And of course,
mm.
little Susie then pops up and says, it is not safe to be calm. You never, because that was my DNA, right? That's what
Mhm,
I'm programmed with. So I had to get
mhm.
rid of that programming. So promptly woke up the next day with the worst case of flu. I have not had the flu probably since I was like in my 20s. Like
Wow.
literally, I never get. I'm super healthy.
Mhm.
with the flu, like a temperature, body aches, diarrhea, like, sorry, TMI, but like running to the toilet. And I had that thing for 5 days. And so I text her
Wow.
immediately. I'm like, I got the flu. She goes, yeah, that's your body letting go. And I believe that. I've had that happen before. I thought I was going to vomit most of the time. I was like going to the toilet, like, is it coming up now? Like, that's how intense this was. I'm not being facetious. It was actually very intense.
Mm.
Um, so at the end of 5 days, I started to feel better. And then I probably got food poisoning 2 days later. So I was sick with food poisoning. But in any case, very fun. It's been fun. But the good thing is that I'm calm. Like I can tell DNA wise, I'm at a completely different place.
Hmm.
And within about a week and a half, I started to have things come through like, oh, hey, would you shoot this and we'll pay you X? And would you do this? And like all of a sudden, things started to
Yeah.
loosen up. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, okay, we're on the right track. And suddenly here I am, May, and all of a sudden I'm having a good month.
Yeah.
So, and I lost money for the last 3 months. I was
Mm.
like, I'm
Mm.
out. I got to go back. I got to get a job. Like I was kind of freaked out. And that went from I was doing very well. So I'm just saying, I think the great thing I've learned, one of the great things I've learned is get help, right? Figure it
Mm.
out. And that's, I think being a business owner is it's about you. It's about you working on yourself constantly. You can't blame anybody else. It's you. It boils down to you. So
Yeah, and I love that you used different, uh, different modality for that, like something you'd never tried before. And, yes, it's kind of woo woo, and you're a woo woo person. I'm a woo woo as well, not as woo woo as you, but, but, but it is about like let's let's just be open and let's learn something about this lesson that we are being served, and we're constantly learning about ourselves. And I think what I love about this time of life is that we are discovering things in whole new ways and being open to receiving that message from the universe and working through it and not forcing against it.
right.
So, yeah. So I love that. I love that, it is I definitely am a huge believer in energy blocks and things,
Yes.
the flow of things, and it has to be in alignment for things to flow to us, and we have to be, I think, ready to learn that lesson. So,
Yes.
yeah. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
awesome. Awesome. Let's see, what else haven't we covered? I feel like there's so much. Oh yeah, let's talk about just kind of your view on aging as you've gotten to this point in life. And I know for sure it's changed since you're talking about serving that population, the middle-aged population, but how has it changed for you and what you are about?
Well, I think coming out here for me was a huge boost to, okay, I'm 57 years old. I'm doing a complete life change. I'm doing a business change. I'm learning a language. I'm like, I've just jumped off this cliff. And and what it's done is it showed me how much I have to give to the world. And I think what's interesting is I think as you get older, it's almost like either you sort of jump into this new phase in your life, a new area, or you allow it to kind of go. You feel that pressure to just kind of go down, right? Like, okay, when is retirement? How much? You start thinking those kind of thoughts as opposed to, wow, what am I here to do in this phase of my life?
Mhm.
And I think that it's changed me a lot when it comes to me getting older, and how what I'm capable of. And now I've got all these goals and dreams, and retirement doesn't even come into it for me. Like I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, I want to do what I'm doing right now until I end, right? Till the end. Like I
Mhm.
just feel like I could do
Mhm.
makeup and really promote aging and promote self-care and promote these kinds of things forever. And I love it.
Mhm.
And what a wonderful feeling rather than, okay, like I've heard so many women, I hate my job. I really want to do this other thing, but I have kids, and I understand all of that. I'm a hyper responsible person. So it's, me coming out here with my kids. I had one daughter who was like, yeah, mom, go. Like, I'm with you. Just fly me out there and, let's go eat some Ecuadorian food. Like, woo. And my other
Mm.
daughter stopped talking to me for about three
Mm.
months because she was so angry that I
Mm,
actually did it, even though she knew I was going to do it for years, right?
mhm,
But I understand. I think it was just different reactions to it. And I
mhm,
think part of my lessons learned is you're never going to get full permission from everybody. It's never going to
mm,
happen.
mhm,
You just have to do you have to feel into it, right? And so much of this has to do with woo woo of what feels the lightest to me. And interestingly, coming out here and doing all of this felt so light and so
mm,
lovely and beautiful. And one of the interesting things is, I just want to share this, is I had a vision of what I wanted. And it was, I would live in a house with, I have a list, right? Live in a house with lots of light because I love sunlight.
mm,
A house that had a garden, but I didn't have to tend the garden. And I had
mhm,
dogs, but I didn't have to take care of the dogs.
mhm,
And it was nearby a park because I'm a runner and I love to run. And so I could go to the park when I wanted. And there's a canal nearby or a river or something, some form of water nearby. And there's cobblestone streets, and I see myself walking down these cobblestone streets, and I see the rain because I love rain, and I really that was kind of my vision. And I've had this even before I decided on Ecuador. Once I got here, what I realized is I'm exactly there. I'm 5 minutes from
ugh,
a park. I go running every day in the park.
ugh,
It's the best bird park in all of Ecuador. So you see
ugh,
birds, like crazy colorful birds. It's incredible. And then there's a huge, it's a river basically
mhm,
right near me. I hear it. Like
mhm,
it's incredible. There's cobblestone streets everywhere because I'm in Cuenca, which is
mhm,
originally built by the Spanish. It's all
mhm,
cobblestone. Like it's incredible. You walk around, you're
yeah,
like, this is European, basically.
yeah,
Um, and I think, wow, that's incredible. If you can envision it, it can come true.
yeah,
And I think it's plugging into that emotional vision. And because for me, it carried an enormous amount of emotion to it.
right,
And now I've got another vision because I'm here. So it's like I've had to
yeah,
recreate another one.
yeah,
But I think as older women, not feeling like it's over, we're done.
yeah,
We have so much to give. And I think the media and this industry just says they want it's like a silencing of women, not to be
mhm,
too weird about it, but I really feel like it's like, oh no, you need to be over here in this box and cook for your
mhm,
grandkids, right? Which is
mhm,
fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm
yeah,
just saying, what are you here? What else are you here to do? And
yeah,
not looking at this as an ending. So that's how it's improved my view of aging is, oh my God, we're so capable.
yeah, yeah.
We got so much to give. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, I love that, and I love how your vision has come true to such perfection. It's amazing, and I think that, yeah, tying to it emotionally is a huge pull to the and sign to the universe that says, "Okay, boom, let's go." And I can't wait to come visit you.
I know you're gonna come. You're gonna love it. You'll be like, oh my God, I'm moving
I
here.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this has been awesome. It has been so great catching up with you. And I just want to wrap up with my favorite thing that I love to ask every guest, which is a quote or inspirational saying that inspires you, and love to have you share that.
So my favorite quote since I came out here, I actually have it next to my computer on a little sticky note because I'm like sticky note girl. It's how good can it get? So
Ah,
I'll be in a like if I get down, I think, wait a minute, how good can it get? And it just takes you to another place. And the book I got it from is this one. It's called Reality Shifters Guide
ah,
to High Energy Money. This was a guest on one
ah.
of the shows I worked on. Cynthia
Oh,
Sue
nice.
Larson wrote this.
Yeah.
And that's her quote throughout the book is how good
Uh-huh.
can it get? Like if you can imagine it, you can create it. So
Right.
go there.
Right.
So I do that all the time is how good can it get? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it can get even better and allowing that. I think
Yeah.
sometimes we have a resistance to goodness, like we don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we deserve
Mhm.
it.
Mhm.
That's been a big thing for me to overcome is I just actually just deserve and not in an entitled way, but in like, yeah, I've paid my dues in life like I deserve. So how good can it
Yeah.
get?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love that quote because it works both when you're down and when things are going right for you.
absolutely.
There can be more. You can
More
say
expansion.
just yeah,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that. So, well, Suzanne, this has been amazing. It's been so great to catch up with you and just share where people can find you.
Yes, you can find me on my website at thebeautyshaman.com and it's SHAMAN. And then I'm also on YouTube at The Beauty Shaman, Instagram, The Beauty Shaman, TikTok, everything's The Beauty Shaman. So if you want some educational videos for mature skin, the YouTube channel is definitely great. And then I have a store on my website as well.
Awesome. And we'll have all those links in the show notes. So thank you, Suzanne. And thanks for sharing your wisdom with us here. And Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hope that was helpful, and make sure you grab the free guide, Top Tools for Late Starters, on the website at latestartersclub.com. And let's turn dreaming into doing.